afternoon. On behalf of GSS Jain College for Women, it's my immense pleasure to join with you all. I extend my cordial welcome to our guest speaker, Dr. K.S. Antonysamy sir, Director, Kuashal Kendra Loyola College, to all the professors and academicians of various colleges and universities to the 7 days national level faculty development program on NAAC Accreditation Framework Day 2 frame organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell of GSS Jain College. Any beginning comes with the blessings of Almighty. Let's commence our program with a prayer song. Now, I would like to request Dr. Visalakshi, Head of Department of Corporate Secretariat, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Dr. Visalakshi, HOD, BCom CS, GSS Jain College for Women. I cordially welcome you all to this one-week faculty development program and the role of teacher in teaching, learning, enhancing academic and administrative excellence. I am greatly honored to welcome our renowned guest of honor, Dr. Antonysamy, former Head Department of English and currently Director, Kuashal Kendra Loyola College, Chennai. Hearty welcome to you, sir. Thank you, sir. I would like to welcome our Honorable Secretary and Correspondent, respected Principal Madam. I also welcome my dear colleagues and all the participants for this FDP. Thank you very much for the opportunity given. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I request our guest speaker, Dr. K.S. Antonysamy sir, to accept our felicitation.
Shall I start sharing my screen and begin?
Thank you, sir. Today, our FDP is going to focus on the role of teachers, learning, and enhancing academic and administrative excellence. I request our chief guest, Dr. K.S. Antonysamy sir, to take over the session.
Yes. Shall I start? Am I audible? Could anyone respond?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Let me know whether my slide is shared.
Yes, sir, your slide has been shared, sir.
Okay, 1 minute.
So, can you present your screen, sir? It's not visible now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
share it now.
Yes. Yeah, it's visible now, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Just a minute. Right. Um, Good afternoon to all the participants and the organizers. I would like to congratulate IQSC, GSS Jain College for organizing a wonderful faculty development program. And this is the second day, and I have been asked to talk on the role of teachers in teaching and learning, enhancing academic and administrative excellence. Definitely, it is the apt topic, and all of us have to update ourselves day by day and give our student community the best, because it is the profession that is not stagnant in nature. It is a profession that grows day by day. My lecture, or rather a talk, would range from the introduction or the meaning of the word excellence, or the understanding of the word excellence, and 21st century phenomenon, what is meant by 21st century phenomenon, and move on to the rest of the points, such as expectations of the learners, and also kind of the paradigm shift that we witness right now. And what is meant by 21st century teacher? This is exactly what I mean by 21st century phenomenon. 21st century skills, 21st century teacher, 21st century technology, and so on. In this context, what kind of initiatives teachers should take, and what is the role of the teacher? Is it enough that we are very, very effective, or should we move on to something called greatness? To quote Stephen Covey, I will talk to you later about this particular shift from effectiveness to greatness. Then, of course, what is administrative excellence? The first part might concentrate on academic excellence, and the second part of the lecture would also concentrate on administrative excellence. In this context, I would advise that the teachers would try for peer collaboration. And towards the end, I would like to also insist on how we have to continuously sharpen the skill of teaching, or even doing research or whatever. That is what I mean by sharpening the saw. So these are the points that I will be talking to you. I would like to begin this lecture with the incident that took place in the life of President Abraham Lincoln. I call this particular anecdote as creative touch. Some of you could have already heard about it or known, but it's worth recalling and have it as a discussion point already in the beginning of our lecture. The first day, as Abraham Lincoln entered the Senate House to give his inaugural address, just in the middle, a rich aristocrat man stood up and said the following manner: Mr. Lincoln, you should not forget that your father used to make shoes for me and for my family. The whole Senate House laughed, and they thought they had made a fool of Abraham Lincoln. But Lincoln and that type of people are made of a totally different metal, a different category. Lincoln looked at the man and said that, Sir, I know that my father used to make shoes for your family, and there will be many others here in the Senate House, because the way my father made shoes, nobody else could do. He was a creator. His shoes were not just shoes, he poured his soul in it. I wanted to ask you, have you any complaint right now? Because I know how to make shoes myself. If you have any complaint, I can make another pair of shoes. As far as I know, nobody has ever complained about my father's shoes. Then my father was a genius, a great creator, and I am very proud of my father. This is what he replied. The whole Senate House was struck dumb. They could not understand what the type of man Abraham Lincoln was. He had made shoemaking an art, a creativity. He was very proud because his father did the job so well that not even a single complaint has ever been heard. My dear friends, it is doesn't matter what you do. What matters is how you do it on your own accord, with your own vision and with your own love. Then whatever you touch becomes gold. I think that is what we should also keep it in mind as we begin this lecture. Start ruminating on development of our profession, the teaching, learning profession. What we do is important, no doubt about it, but how we do that is very, very important. In fact, it is more important. That's a message we should all keep it in mind. In teaching, what we transfer as knowledge is important, and it is definitely very, very vital in our role, in our profession, in delivering the knowledge. But how we deliver that knowledge, how we carry that knowledge to the student community is very, very important. I think that is what we should all keep it in mind. Now, what is excellence? Many of you might browse the Google or the dictionary and find out the meaning of the word excellence. I would like to simply give you a reflection of my own. For me, excellence is a way of teaching and learning. That includes learning. Teaching includes learning. Whenever we teach, we also learn, knowingly or unknowingly. Right? Whenever we learn, we have that tendency of imparting this to others, teaching. So they are like two sides of the same coin. For me, excellence is the ability to transform oneself from one stage to another stage. I think that is what I would say. If you are able to transform yourself from stage 1 or from A to another stage B, then I think that is a progress. I think that is what I mean by excellence. Right. Definitely, there is a growth, there is a kind of a development, there is a sign of flourishment. Def- this particular transformation is what I call excellence, probably. Therefore, as a teacher, we have to transform our role as a teacher to something like the role of a facilitator. We should transform ourselves from the role of an instructor to the role of an enabler. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the role of the teacher a little later, but then to indicate the kind of shift that you need to have, the transformation that you need to have, I just wanted to give you a hint here. So, excellence is not something like scoring 95 out of 100 or 100 out of 100. I don't come into that kind of a debate. But for me, my understanding is if you are able to transform yourself, shift yourself from one stage to another stage very successfully, that itself is a way of doing things in a better manner. That is what I would call excellence. Now, Alvin Toffler is inevitable. Everybody would quote, and let me also quote. Who is the illiterate of the 21st century, according to Alvin Toffler? You know, it's a very, very apt quotation for all of us. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Correct. I think that's a very, very thought provoking quote by Alvin Toffler, the American futurist or futurologist or whatever you call. I don't know whether we can call futurologist, but the American philosopher, the thinker who was able to predict what might happen in 21st century. See, the illiterate is no longer a person who cannot read and write. Everybody is able to read and write today, thanks to that literacy rate, the movement of education to all movement. But then the illiterate is a person who cannot learn to unlearn what is not necessary, what is not okay, and then relearn what is okay, what is relevant today. I think that's what is very important. In this context, I would like to highlight that teachers are those who should unlearn whatever they learned as the right philosophy, whatever they learned as the right methodology, the teaching procedure that is universally known, right? And relearn the kind of strategy that is working in the present context. This is exactly what I want you to understand. Learn to unlearn what is not relevant, what is not suitable, what is not working, and relearn what is working in the present situation. I think that's very, very important. 21st century phenomenon. This is exactly what I was telling you a little earlier. There is something called 21st century phenomenon. We have expressions of what we call 21st century teacher, 21st century learner, 21st century skills, even 21st century school, 21st century education. Therefore, we need to adapt ourselves to this particular phenomenon. 21st century skills, if you browse the net, you will understand that there are skills that have been enlisted as important skills required in order for the students to be employable, to be marketable. Correct? And if you look at the picture here, some of us belong to that old generation. I have no idea. It stopped working. Probably the TV or the computer or whatever. Whereas children on the other side, they know how to operate well. Now, this is the kind of phenomenon we are witnessing. Therefore, we have to adapt ourselves to the changing environment. That's very, very important. The kind of expectations of the learners today. The learners are not simply the very, very passive students, or the students are a very passive persons here. They expect a kind of high energy packed class from all of us. High energy. How energetic are you in the class? Are you able to communicate very powerfully? Are you able to give newer ideas? Are you able to cope with the kind of technological advancement with which the students are familiar? Definitely, that's the kind of energy that we need to instill today. If you are going to be very dull, prosaic, and mundane, sound like the usual traditional teacher, you are not wanted. You are not uh, accepted. This is the kind of situation today. Another point is the classroom application. Classroom application is the kind of hands-on experience that you would give to the students. Students do not expect only the concepts, the theories, the ideas to be uh, uh, transferred in the class. Of course, they like explanations, they like interactions on those concepts. But then remember, the concepts are all available, the theories are all available. The click of the mouse, they have everything, right? The whole world is at the tip of the click. They have it, but how you apply that knowledge, right, to a real world situation, and how is that demonstrated in the classroom? That is what they want. So will you be able to demonstrate certain application oriented methods or hands-on experience in the classroom relating to the concept you teach? This is probably what they want. The students like to learn by participating, by doing, by experimenting, by solving a problem. So therefore, it is exactly what they want to have in the classroom. Number three, working solution. See, it's not going to be a kind of a solution or a kind of say a mantra that you are going to offer. That is very very idealistic. They want to know how viable it is, how working it is. The solution that you offer in the classroom to any concept or any problem should be working. It should provide a result. It should be result oriented. So therefore, the students of 21st century expect the teachers to come to class with lots of energy, right? Power packed class, and give classroom application oriented strategies, and then working solutions. And today, my dear friends, the situation is either sink or swim. I know many of you could have heard this maxim, um, either publish or perish. Even today, in the research context, it is true: publish or perish. That is a slogan that has been very, very popular among the administrators and the researchers. It is obviously now either swim or sink situation. It means either you are able to cope with the changing environment and do something good for the student community, or you are not wanted. Okay, this is exactly what the situation is. As teachers, we should make lots of adjustment. We should be able to adapt ourselves to this changing scenario. For example, we have now Google Classroom. We have LMS, Learning Management System. Each college has a learning management system. Even during the COVID, Loyola College developed a learning management system following the example of Google, right? And it is that particular learning management system that demanded all of us to adapt ourselves to that particular learning system. Therefore, the kind of physical setting you are experiencing with and the online setting that you have to adapt yourselves should be synchronizing. Both are very very important. Today we all call ourselves as teachers of blended learning. right? We teach and learn in the physical setting. At the same time, we continue to learn and teach in the online mode also. In what is not possible in the physical setting is added, is incorporated in the online mode. Therefore, one has to adapt yourself to the changing scenario, especially learning about the learning management system, the Google Classroom, one example, and even the flipped classroom is another strategy that many of the teachers are now fond of using. So therefore, you should also think in terms of either swim, you are able to swim along the stream or against the stream, or get drowned. Okay, now what is a paradigm shift that we are all experiencing right now? The paradigm shift is, if you look at the scenario, it's not simply a classroom that is going to be a matter. Classroom is definitely interesting, but now the concept of moving from classroom to boardroom, the kind of a discussion room, is what we should keep it in mind. We should accept the kind of students we have today like to have a discussion. They are not simply contented with the kind of one way lecture that is being offered in the classroom. It is still it still holds good. The lecture method, the chalk and talk method, is still works, no doubt about it. But the kind of students that we have, the students expect from us to have a discussion, right? To permit them in problem solving exercise, in permitting them to participate in the decision making exercise, right? Right, or they like to also share their information. So this is exactly the kind of uh, paradigm shift that we experience. The concept of classroom to boardroom is what we should understand. And number two, teacher is no longer considered as only an instructor. Teacher is an instructor, no doubt about it, but then he is also an enabler. You should be able to enable the learners to learn, to form themselves, enabling classes. It is not instruction that matters much. You should be able to enable them, train them. You should be able to prepare them. Correct? That is what we should aim at. Now, coming to the concept of learners, you remember learners are considered as tabula rasa in those days, a kind of a empty vessel in which matter has to be filled with, in which the concepts are to be filled with. Today, we have we have an understanding of that concept learner as knowledge constructivist. Learners are not simply considered as tabula rasa, right? In the beginning, at least, students in at the beginning of their career was considered as an empty vessel those days. That's a kind of empiricist knowledge that philosophers like John Locke propagated. But now, in 20th century, late 20th century, and the understanding has become deepened. We come to know that learners, even at the beginning stage, have the ability to construct knowledge, right? They are able to create knowledge, co-create knowledge with the adults. So that's the kind of understanding we have. So therefore, learners are now the co-partners in generating meaning. They are the co-creators of knowledge. That is the kind of understanding we should have. Now the next point, theory laden or written mode to application mode. Now What we used to test in those days is only theory, in a written mode. Correct. All theory. In a 3 hour exam, theory, the definition, explanation. Right. Very rarely we had a testing on application. All in written mode. 3 hour exam, 1 hour exam. But now most of the exams have been designed to in order to incorporate that application mode of thinking. Right. For example, apply this concept in this situation and create something new. I think most of us are aware of the kind of change that has taken place in the education right now. Right. So let us use the knowledge level of say up to K6, right? Knowledge level 6, not simply K1, K2, K3, you know, 4, 5, 6 analysis, and even application, all very, very important. So, therefore, that shift also is taking place right now. Correct. And then moving on to the very lecture mode itself. Fortunately or unfortunately, I am giving you an online lecture, so I don't even stop to interact with you because of certain limitations and so on. But then, by all means, anytime that interactive mode of learning is better. It has an edge over that lecture mode. So therefore, let us be aware of this kind of change that is desirable. That is what is liked by the teachers and students today. And there is also a shift from receiving and giving to sharing. See, what we were all fond of is either receive information or give information. That's what we were all fond of. Now, we should give importance to sharing, give and take, clarify, asking questions, getting answers. So, from receiving and giving as a means of means of communication to sharing is what we should understand as a paradigm shift. And then there is one more shift that you should also understand, that the teachers are not simply enough that they are expertise of any particular subject. They should they should be able to deliver the goods. Okay, that's very, very, very important. I don't think that the kind of expertise that we possess that is going to advertise for ourselves. No, that's I may be a PhD holder. I may be the head of the department of one of the prestigious departments in a well-known college, but that is not enough. But I will be recognized in terms of what I am able to produce, deliver, delivering the goods. So that is what is very important. So, who is the 21st century teacher? After listening to that explanation, a 21st century teacher should be a trainer and a facilitator, not simply a teacher. I know, what it means to be a trainer, what it means to be a facilitator. And 21st century teacher is a creator of productive classroom environment. This is what exactly I told you. What is it that I'm going to produce? What is that I'm going to create in students? Am I able to prepare the student to do something? That's very, very important. Am I able to create the classroom environment where students become creators? That's very, very important. These are all some of the thoughts that you should keep it in mind and accordingly prepare yourself as a effective teachers. And of course, a teacher is a knowledge provider, is a resource provider. From knowledge provider, you should become a resource provider. Right. There are lots of resources available. Any number of, you know, uh, links are available for us to understand a particular concept. But then, which is the authentic resource which the students can rely on? That is what you should also be able to provide. Okay, your teacher is one who is able to provide resource. And of course, teachers are digital teachers today. No longer are we considered as chalk and talk teachers. Mm, Chalk and talk method is okay, fine to an extent, but then we can't simply rely on only that. We should transmit that particular condition of being very conservative or conventional or a traditional way of teaching. We should move on. That's what I told you. We should be able to adapt ourselves to the changing environment. Another thing, collaborator. A teacher is a collaborator. Possible, a teacher should be able to do a research project along with a student. These are all possible. Right. And above all, a teacher is the master of the subject. One should have the mastery of the subject. If you are going to simply refer to your textbook or the Google, as people call Mada Pida Google now, not anymore as a guru, Mada Pida Google, because Google has taken over that place, right? I may be sounding contradictory, but then this is the kind of saying, right? So you should have the mastery of the subject. Only then students will respect you. Students simply judge the teacher by one or two classes. That is the reason why they sometimes very well, listen to us with little span of attention. If they don't pay too much of attention or the due attention that we require, let us understand it's a clue that we don't give them the kind of the knowledge of the subject as they expect. Now, some of the initiatives you should take as a teacher is, if you look at the picture here, um, the whole scenario of the classroom should have this kind of understanding. Talk, less us, more them. You're right. In fact, there should be a kind of a 80-20 student teacher participation. 80-20. 80% of student participation and 20% of the teacher talk. If you have heard of the abbreviation, right? Teacher talk time, TTT, student talk time, STT. TTT should be 20%. STT should be 80%. Will you be able to enable produce a classroom situation using student centered strategy and make the students participate for 80% of the time? Then you are a successful teacher. So this is what is meant by here: less us teachers, more them students. So the focus should be on student. The focus should be on learning, right? That's very important. It is not the teacher who is all in all. Teacher is all in all. It is true. This is the kind of concept we had and people understood. But now we have to redefine our role. And some of the techniques that you can try here: learning by doing. Let them learn by doing. Doing is a common term. By participating, by doing a project, by drawing, by even doing a kind of debate, by participating in a debate. So that is what I mean by learning by doing. So use student centered methodology. Infographics is a very good a technique for the students to enjoy some of the concepts, some of the process. Even science teachers can think of some of the process that could be described in an infographic style, infographics format, students will enjoy doing this. We don't try. Every time if you are going to ask them to summarize, tell them in the class, or write an assignment, 2 page, 3 page, it's going to be boring. Students will tend to become dull and so on. So better, use some of the strategies like involving them infographics, right? Or jigsaw puzzle, jigsaw participation. These are all some of the techniques that I am only throwing. You can go through. You may understand what is meant by jigsaw. It's a kind of a small group discussion where each topic is given. The one particular lesson is divided into 4 or 5 topics, and each topic is given to 4 or 5 groups, and each group will discuss that particular topic, have an understanding, and the representative of each group will go and share their own understanding to the rest of the groups. So that kind of discussion is what we call jigsaw discussion, and there is also something called a jigsaw puzzle also, and of course cooperative learning, blended learning, flipped learning. These are all some of the things that you can try. Since we have a little time, I don't go into what is meant by blended learning or flipped classroom in a detailed manner. Blended learning is using the resources of the physical setting as well as online mode. Okay, online and offline mode. So if you are able to blend, so that is called blended learning. What is being taught in the class could be supplemented using online resources. Similarly, flipped classroom, you can share materials the previous day or the previous week itself for the students to know more about that material, come prepared for discussion on a particular day, and so on. Now, dear participants, very important aspect I am going to discuss with you right now is from effective to great. I have borrowed this idea from Stephen Covey, and his the title of the book, The Eighth Habit. Many of you, Stephen R. Covey is the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a kind of a very, very popular book. The 15 million copies were sold, right? And it's a very interesting book. I have learned and I have used. And some of the habits, 7 habits, some of the habits are: be proactive, begin with the end in the mind, right? Active listening, sharpening the saw, which I'm going to discuss towards the end of this particular lecture. These are all some of the habits that I would like to recall. Being proactive is the first habit of any uh, effective person, effective people. Correct. Now, this writer has also thought of the eighth habit, that is being great. He says that it's not enough that you are effective. It's not enough that you are an effective teacher. It is equally important that you should be able to inspire others and discover the greatness in others, or enable others to discover the greatness in themselves. That's very, very important. This is what we call training others. This is what we call facilitating. This is what we call enabling. Can we do that? Then we become inspiring teachers. Then we become great teachers. So let us try and then become great in our own profession. As it is said here, the eighth habit is about finding your voice and helping others discover their own in order to thrive at work in the information age, where interdependence is more important than independence. definitely interdependent. We are an age of networking. We are mostly we are expected to work in a team. Teamwork is very, very important. Being independent is simple, okay, fine, but then you are interdependent. How well you gel with others, how well you work with others, that's also very important. So the eighth habit is, can you discover the greatness in others, or can you enable others to identify their greatness in them? If you do that, then you are already a trainer, you are already a facilitator. That is what we should aim at. So therefore, go beyond teaching, right? And that is what I mean by administrative excellence. As teachers, we need to go beyond teaching. We should facilitate 21st century skills. See, as I told you, a student should be able to think critically, should think laterally, right? Should communicate effectively, right? Some of the skills that I'm enumerating here: critical thinking, creativity, effective communication, and of course, there are other 21st century skills like literacy skills, media skills, and life coping skills like socializing, being a leader, right? And also being very friendly. These are all some of the skills that have been identified as 21st century skills. If you want your students to be employable, right, not to be wanted in the market, you should teach them to learn or acquire 21st century skills. Will you be able to facilitate that? And will you be able to do a research, action research? What is exactly required for the students? How to be successful in the classroom. Can you do an action research? I am not even talking about the research that you have to do apart from your teaching. I am talking about the action research that is being done in every classroom, where a problem is identified and a solution is found out from your experience, from a kind of an experiment that you did, so that you are able to offer a solution that you encounter as a problem, right? As a class teacher, you identify a problem, then you find out a solution for that problem by experimenting. So this is the kind of action research that you have to also do. And student accompaniment, these days student accompaniment is a very important aspect of one of the criteria in the NAAC. How well you accompany. Are you a mentor? Are you a counselor? Are you any do you enable the student to prepare a paper? Have you enabled your students to present a paper in the conference? That is what they look for. Being a counseling is not the job of somebody as somebody who is appointed for that purpose. You are also a counselor. You can, in your own way, you can do a little bit of personal counseling, and you are definitely a mentor as a teacher. So therefore, we should go beyond the act of teaching and facilitate 21st century skills in our students, do a bit of action research in the classroom so that we find out a solution for some of the problems we encounter, and should be able to accompany our students, by mentoring, counseling, and enabling, and so on. And this is exactly what I told you by peer, administrative collaboration, administrative excellence. Peer collaboration is one of the things among the teachers you can try. Right. As teachers, can we have a kind of community of practice, which I have mentioned here? Can you form a community of practice, community of best practices? Will you be able to share your success, your best practices, and let others know what you have done? Let others try to emulate what you have succeeded. Can you share? You know, that's very, very important. If possible, can you do a peer mentoring? Will you mentor as a teacher, as a senior teacher? Will you be able to mentor the junior teacher? As a junior teacher, will you be able to accept your senior as your mentor? That's very, very important. That's the way we are going to grow. In fact, in Western countries, there is a practice that there is something called peer observation. If I want, I can invite a senior person to my class and ask that particular teacher to observe my class and find out where I succeed using a particular strategy, where I fail in completing, in using that particular strategy completely. You know, if I have that kind of maturity, open mindedness, I will grow. I will know where I go wrong, where I do well, right? It's a kind of an opportunity for me also to know where I am good at, where my strengths are, where the areas of improvement are, right? Therefore, peer observation also you can think of. You may invite your own colleagues to observe your class and give you a feedback. You can invite your own senior teachers to be your mentors. You can also in turn become mentors to your junior teachers. I think this is one way of helping one another. I think it's a very, very important aspect. And at times we should also think of team teaching. Team teaching, in case you are good at one particular aspect of the syllabus, or one particular a few topics in the syllabus, you can master that topic, or master those topics and become a teacher of excellence in that particular area, and then go to different classes and teach. Similarly, you can invite other teachers to uh, share their knowledge on a particular topic where they are good at, they are they have mastered. So this is the kind of team teaching also you can think of. Or even one particular class can be handled by 2 or 3 teachers. They can also think in terms of dividing the sections and deal with those sections in a very effective manner, right? So team teaching is again a very important aspect that you can think of. Study circle you can form, and you can even think of a mini conference. Mini conference is a very recent phenomenon that is very popular among the academicians, the stakeholders. The mini conference is convened by the teachers of one particular institution for themselves, or one particular department for themselves, in which they share one important idea in that conference and let others know that idea and discuss that idea and then give a clarity to that idea. Basically, mini conference is a kind of a sharing of ideas, sharing of research findings among themselves in order to enhance their knowledge. Will you be able to, organize a mini conference for yourself? There is no expense involved. There is no time, big, time involved, right? It is your own convenient time you are organizing, right? So mini conference is a good idea. And social media connect, of course, is a very important aspect to remain sustainable in your engagement. You should be able to sustain that engagement. It is not that immediately after this FDP you are going to start a community of practice. After 2 3 weeks it's over. No, you should be able to sustain that engagement in the community of practice. So how can you do that? You can think of, you should be very serious about it. If you are very, very proactive, you will be able to do that. So peer collaboration, namely observation, mentoring, team teaching, and mini conference, will definitely help you to achieve this administrative excellence. Then my dear friends, this is exactly what I wanted all of you to do. That you should be able to cast off the skin. I'm giving you the analogy from the world of biology. Snakes shedding their skin, casting off their skin. And this particular process is called ecdysis. Ecdysis. The scientists call this process ecdysis. Although you may know this particular process being termed or called as sloughing or molting and so on, right? What happens? In this process of casting off their old skin, right, the new skin grows, right. The skin becomes stretched. It is something fresh, right. In fact, snakes shed their skin to allow for further growth. That's exactly the point. You should allow casting off your old methods, old habits, old way of thinking in order to allow the new, fresh thinking, new methodologies to come in. So that's the whole idea. And I would like to end this lecture with another story, because I know I started with the story. Now I let me end with the story. Many of you could have heard of the story of a woodcutter, but here is a different story. I am not referring to the story of a woodcutter who lost his axe in the river, and then the fairy appeared and then helped this man to get back his original axe, and also rewarded for his honesty and so on, right? But this is a different story. Again, this story some of you might have also heard. Remember that the story begins like this. There was an efficient woodcutter. Look at the word efficient, who worked for a timber merchant. The pay was good, and so were the working conditions. Definitely, the working conditions were good, the payment was good, and he was also very efficient. For that reason, the woodcutter was determined to do his best, and his boss gave him an axe and showed him the area where he was supposed to work. The first day, the woodcutter brought down 18 trees. The boss was very much impressed and said, "Oh, congratulations, man. Keep it up. 18 trees." Very much motivated by the words of the boss, the woodcutter tried even harder the next day, but he only could bring down 15 trees. Look at the word harder. He tried even harder because of the motivation, but he only could bring down 15 trees. The third day he tried even harder, but he only could bring down 10 trees. Day after day he was bringing down less and less number of trees. Then he thought, I must be losing my strength. The woodcutter was really worried. Then he went to the boss and apologized, saying that he could not understand what was going on. And the boss asked him a very pertinent question. When was the last time you sharpened your axe? That's the question. Sharpen? I had no time to sharpen my axe. That was the reply. I have been busy cutting the tree. Wow, that was the answer. I think, my dear friends, the story ends with a moral, right? Our lives are also like that. We sometimes get so busy that we don't have time to sharpen the axe. Here, sharpening the axe means sharpen the skill. Sharpen what exactly what we want, what we need to do, right? Let us sharpen the art of teaching, the skill of teaching. That's very, very important. We have lots of expertise, we have ideas. you know uh, I am bubbling with lots of strategies, ideas, but then if I don't have that strategy, sharpened strategy, then I won't be able to get things done. From time and again we should be able to sharpen that skill of teaching, the skill of learning. That's very, very important. Or whoever it is, the skill of marketing, right? The skill of administering, right? Even if I am a good administrator, I should be able to sharpen my skill now and then, right? In today's world, everyone is busy and everybody is a little less happy than ever. Why? Because we have very less time, and we have forgotten to sharpen our mind. our skill, right? There's nothing wrong with the activity that we do. There is nothing wrong with the hard work that we put in. All is fine, but then we should know how to market it. We should know how to get the information across. And that's very, very important, right? Therefore, I would say start from today. Think about the ways by which you can do your job more effectively and add a lot of value to it. I think this is my final message to you as I end my talk. And I'm sure I could have given you a few thoughts for you to reflect. I may not have given you a very fantastic or very impactful ideas and so on, but then what is known already to you is revived. I have just helped you to, think about some of the ideas that we have been ruminating. This is what I could have done, I think. But let us keep it in mind that it is the curiosity, it is that enthusiasm, it is that effort that we are going to put in, it is that positive attitude that we are going to show is what is going to help us be a different teacher and different person. Thank you very much for the opportunity and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening session on modern methodologies of teaching through the anecdotes. Thank you, sir. And it was very informative section, sir. And now the session is open to questions. Viewers can clear your doubts. Any questions?
Yes. Even if they can type it in the chat box, I can read. The sad part of our lecture is we want to have it interactive, but then we are not interactive. Interactive in the middle, I mean. We can try, but what happens is sometimes we get stuck with the question and answers. How many participants are there, ma'am?
One 63 participants. 160. 260.
Okay,
160.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Just to know. Probably, yeah. Probably the time also is 2 to 3. So everybody should be either hungry or after lunch should be also tired of listening.
Only a positive feedback from all the viewers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your active and enthusiastic participation. Now I would like to request Ms. Satyapriya, Head of Department, in charge of BISM, to propose the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to all. On behalf of Guru Sri Shantivijai Jain College for Women, I am glad to express my sincere thanks to our Chief Guest, Dr. K.S. Antonysamy, Director, Kuashal, Kendra, Loyola College, Chennai, for accepting our invitation and for your informative speech. I thank our secretary and correspondent Dr. P. Gautam Vaid, sir, and beloved principal Dr. M.K. Malatinam for always supporting us and guiding us. I would also like to thank all participants for being here and making this day a wonderful and memorable. Thank you once again.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्तर बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल गायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for participating in this. And it was very informative session, sir. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
giving me.
you, thank you, thank you, ma'am. Shall I leave?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Session close. Session close. Chat feedback.